Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It is late. It is Monday night. The Chicago Blackhawks just won the NHL lottery. The Blue Jackets got screwed yet again. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into a big equal sign. We got another superstar coming to Columbus. We're going to reveal him in this video. We're going to break down his tape a little bit. And we're going to take your questions, talk a little bit about what the team's doing right now. Brandon Innis is on campus. He got his sweet car today from Riker Automotive. So a lot of good stuff going on. Camp season's about to kick off in a week or two. So you guys keep it tuned in right here. But as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in each and every night, each and every day. If you enjoy this content, please click like on the video. That helps us tremendously. Comment where you are from. Also comment who do you want to see step up early in the season this year. There's a lot of new people coming into the fold, a lot of new plays or new big deal at the quarterback, new offensive line scenarios all over the place. Who do you want to see step up? Is it Josh Fryer? Is it Kyle McCord? Devin Brown? There's a million guys that are candidates for that. So I'd love to see who you guys like. So put that in the comments down below. Also, if you could click subscribe, that'd be huge for us. We appreciate that as always. And click on that little alert bell so you know every time we go live. That being said, I'm going to bring in the Connor Bedard of BuckeyeScoop.com, Mr. Nevada Buck. Nevada, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a crazy day. A little equal sign, little NHL draft shenanigans. So it's been been busy, man.
Well, we'll touch on the draft for just a quick second. Obviously, the lottery was tonight. The Chicago Blackhawks were the third best odds to win. They end up winning the grand prize, which is Connor Bedard, which is it's like getting a Peyton Manning. It's like getting that franchise-changing guy, LeBron James. One of those guys that changes the course of the history of your program. The long-suffering Chicago Blackhawks have won 3 cups since 2010. Get the franchise guy. The Blue Jackets, who had the second best odds, unfortunately fell down to third, so they will miss out not only on Bedard, but also on Adam Fantilli, who is a fantastic prospect from the University of Michigan. Nevada, what was your initial reaction? ESPN fumbled the announcement by announcing that Columbus was going to be third before a commercial break. But what was your reaction to all this? I mean, it was kind of surprising, but not surprising, because sometimes I feel like Ohio pro sports can't have nice things. So us not getting Connor Bedard was the least surprising thing maybe of my life. But just your initial thoughts on the NHL draft lottery and the Blue Jackets.
Well, if you have a lottery and you have it in private, which gives away things about being rigged and all sorts of conspiracy theories about that, and then you announce that Columbus is picking third before you've turned over the card showing that Columbus is picking third, that's a problem. And then the fact that ESPN didn't even acknowledge that they made that mistake and spoiled the announcement and messed up the draft order. I think this is going to be one that people talk about for years and years and years, much like the Patrick Ewing to New York, type of stuff for the NBA. I think this was a colossal. I mean, this is the most viewed NHL draft in the history of the NHL, and they mess up the announcement on ESPN. Kevin Weeks should be fired or resign immediately, because what a buffoon. You can't do something like that, and he did it, and what an embarrassment.
Well, and the amazing thing is that the draft, the selections were chalk literally all the way up. I was counting down. It's like, okay, 16 is Calgary Flames. Okay, they announced 16, 15, 14, all the way up to 3. And then that's where it wasn't chalk anymore. It was literally chalk the entire way. And then at 3, it was then all of a sudden the Blue Jackets fall down from 2 to 3. And then the Mighty Ducks, who were number 1, fall down to 2. And then the Blackhawks, who were 3, go up to 1. And, if the Jackets are just been in the top 2, then you get one of the 2 franchise-altering guys. Instead, they're going to have a guy probably going to be a decent player, but he's probably not. He's up to the talent of Fantilli and Bedard, but it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know if we have any Jackets people on here, but it was brutal. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. What's up, Paul? Paul's on here again. We did one with Bank earlier, doing one with Nevada. Now, Nevada, it is summertime. Brandon Innis is officially on campus now. The graduation was this past weekend. It was a beautiful weekend for graduation. And now these guys start the summer grind. What are you most excited about as we start getting some nuggets from Inside Conditioning? They haven't really started conditioning yet, so there's no nuggets to get. So most of the players are off, kind of home for that last week before the heavy lifting starts of the summer. But what is most exciting to you about this time of year with summer conditioning kicking off for Ohio State?
Well, I think the fact that you've got a quarterback derby And I really want to see kind of who's emerging, over the summer, because you hear a lot about over the summer about who's kind of developing that chemistry with the receivers, and who's out there putting the extra work in. And it's especially important this year with Kyle looked a little pedestrian in the spring game, and Devin was out with a ever so slight injury there. So I think that's the thing I'm going to be looking for the most is who are the players talking about from a quarterback position, because I think that job's wide open. And I think we both feel that Cal will take that first snap, but will he take the last snap? Not sure about that. And I think a lot of that battle is going to be won or lost over the summer. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that Devin Brown and Kyle are really close in terms of their skill level, their development. I know Devin Brown is a fantastic player. People have talked to, and what do you say? He's the guy with more upside than Kyle McCord. So Kyle's been here longer. Obviously, Kyle started a game. Obviously, I fully expect Kyle McCord to be our week 1 starter. But does he hold on to it throughout the entire season, or is it a true quarterback derby? And I think that. As it gets harder and we play tougher teams, if the quarterback play suffers at all, Ryan Day will be quick to make the hook and put in a new guy and see what Devin Brown can do. I think that the hardest part, for Ryan, is to dole out the reps to the first team, because it's one thing, to be thrown to Marvin and Emeka and having the better O-line and Trey Henderson, as opposed to being with the twos where you've got some younger guys, a lesser O-line. It's a lot harder to operate in that. So how does he dole out those reps? Does Devin Brown get a fair crack with the first team offense? It's going to be interesting to see as they get going into summer. Summer is mostly a lot of conditioning work. They can do a lot more drill work legally with the coaches, a lot more meeting time with the coaches, which is something that never was a factor before. And now it's going to be, which of these guys has the best command of the offense going into fall ball, which is going to be here in August. So super excited about that. Our NFL guys get cranking up this week. The draft party is over. The champagne has dried up, and now these guys get to go be NFL football players, which, guys like DeJuan, Paris, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, they start what is called OTAs, which is organized team activities. These guys are literally practicing for their new NFL teams starting this week. And it is, it's eye-opening. And I was a guy that was a massive NFL fan, a guy that studied the NFL. I kind of knew the NFL, but once I actually got into it, I couldn't believe how rigorous the training was in the off season. How you're literally starting to practice this weekend, because normally in college you don't start till August, but these guys are gonna be putting the helmets on and they're gonna be running around practicing, learning the stuff. And there's no more, you're not on scholarship anymore in the NFL, man. The NFL, it's a whole different ball of wax. Nevada, of our draft picks, who are you most excited about? Who are you most intrigued about? Just where they fit, how they do. DeJuan's right at the top of the list for me, but who are some guys, that were drafted or maybe even free agents that you're excited to hear some initial buzz about as we start the NFL offseason training programs?
Well, I mean, the big one for me is Jackson Smith and Jigba, just because, you're virtually a year away from the game. It has that great Rose Bowl game, and then we get only a handful of plays out of him this year. Despite that, he still goes in the first round. And I'm just excited to see how he does and how his game translates to the NFL, because I've always been convinced from what I've heard and from talking to people in the program that even that super talented trio of Olave, Wilson, and Jackson, that he might have been the best of the bunch. And that's saying something, because Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave were both absolutely fantastic college players and terrific NFL players already. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. Coming right out of the chute, and if he can kind of regain that form, which I don't have any doubt that he will. I think he'll do Ohio State proud, and can't wait to see him play in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it'll be fascinating to see how Luke Whippler does. DeJuan, they're going to Bill Callahan, who's a fantastic line coach in Cleveland, with my boy Ethan Posick, who had actually a really nice year at center last year, re-upped with the Browns. So I think it's a good spot for both those guys. I think that obviously C.J. Stroud is the guy with the bullseye on his back. Being at Houston, actually plays the Browns next year, so that'll be interesting to see if he's playing up in Cleveland or down there. But it's going to be all eyes on CJ, man. I mean, he's got a better offensive line than I expected him to have. He's got below average receivers, a decent young running back, but like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what he can get done as a rookie in the league when he doesn't have all the advantages that come with playing at Ohio State, where you have two fantastic tackles, you have three fantastic wide receivers, you have Ryan Day, you play in the Big Ten, so you're playing worse opponents every year. It's not like that in the NFL. Once you get to the league, man, you're playing good teams every week. Obviously, there's some teams that are bottom of the barrel, but any team can beat any team generally in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to that. We had an equal sign today. So Nevada, we have an equal sign. This is a very early equal sign, but he's a very, very fantastic player. A guy who could end up being the best receiver in the history of Ohio. Tell us a little bit about Chris Henry Jr.
Well, Chris Henry Jr. is probably the earliest equal sign that I've ever dropped. Obviously, you know, will be a 5-star wide receiver out of the state of Ohio, which are rare. We don't see a lot of those. As you mentioned, might be the most highly regarded wide receiver ever to come out of the state, and calling equal sign to the Buckeyes. Early, but has some really good intel on this one, and I think it's early rejoicing, but time for rejoicing for Ohio State fans because the pipeline's going to continue, and from an unlikely spot in state, Chris Henry Jr. to the Buckeyes, calling it today.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys that, as he gets older and more mature, you're going to just be amazed by his overall ability and his talent because he's a special kid, man. He's been through a lot. Obviously his father passed away at a young age, but he is a superstar. As I get his film turned up for you guys, but I'm just super excited about seeing what this kid can do, seeing what he can bring to the table for us because I think he'll end up being a 5-star superstar, like a JJ Smith, like an AJ Green. He's a lanky dude. He's like 6'5" already. He's 185. And he was killing kids at the camp on Sunday. And he's killing guys that are much older, much more senior, which, again, not every freshman, sophomore type is built to do that. But he did it last year at Ohio State's camp as a freshman. He's at the Under Armour camp as a sophomore this year. Really got it in. Really did a nice job. So I'm just super excited to see what this kid can bring to the table. Was adopted by Pac-Man Jones. He's a guy that really has taken him under his wing, and like I said, I think he's going to be a special player. There we go. Got it to pick up, so apologize for that. But yeah, it is. It's rolling now. But he's a big lanky dude. For as young as he is, it's crazy that he's a 2026. So. We're just getting the 24s signed this year. So you got 25, 26. So he's sitting in freshman English class, as Bill Green said, and got a lot of upside, a lot of really good talent. And I think that, as we get into this thing, people are going to love watching this kid because he's a special player. He's a special kid. He's been through a lot. Obviously his father is an NFL player, was as talented as TJ Hushmanzada and Chad Johnson. It was actually teammates with him in 08 with the Bengals. He was a super quiet dude, really nice guy. But he was the opposite of Chad and TJ because those guys were very loud, and Slim was not. Slim was actually pretty quiet. So, him and Adam Jones were both teammates at West Virginia, and now Adam has adopted Chris Henry Jr. and he gives him that tough love, which is good. And I think it'll be interesting to see how he develops with his now. Foster dad being basically a Pro Bowl type cornerback and teaching him kind of, what goes on from a DB's perspective when you're going against a big time wide receiver like Chris Henry Jr. So I'm excited about it. I think this will be a guy that we'll want to watch. He's going to be a guy that, like I said, you see the ability now at this young of an age, and he's already 6'5". I mean, he could end up being 6'7". And just being an absolute supernova Megatron type guy. But, it'll be interesting to see where he tops off at from a growth wise. Because like I said, he's a legit 6'5" already. And he's 16. So, by the time he's 18, he might be 6'8". So it'll be interesting. Is there any downside to being too tall in Nevada for a wide receiver?
Well, I mean, I think there's a reason why there's not a lot of 6'7" and 6'8" wide receivers. You get cut down low and have all sorts of knee, ankle types of problems, situations like that. But no, he's the perfect size athletically for those, that new breed of wide receiver, those big lanky guys that create all those matchup problems for the cornerbacks, because it's always you either get the fast guys or you get the tall guys, but you don't normally get the tall fast guys, and he's one of those. So he's a rare breed. And as you mentioned, Pac-Man, obviously is his adopted father now, and Pac-Man's really kind of cleaned up his act, really doing a nice job with him, bringing him along. Great young man, and going to be a great Buckeye, going to be a great player at Ohio State. People are going to really, really like him.
Oh, VB coach is in the building. Yes. You don't have credentials. I was like, I know. We can still do our podcast. So, yeah, we appreciate you, VB coach. Interested to get some of your feedback on some of those linemen. Appreciate you guys. Man, we got Mississippi. We got Portsmouth. We got Reminderville, Ohio. Man, we got people all over the place. Paul, what's up? Paul's always on here. Appreciate you, my dude. And so, again, we love seeing where you guys are from, so keep shouting that out. Crank those questions up. You guys got any questions for us? We're taking some questions right now as we watch some Chris Henry Jr. film. Nevada, who does he remind you of? Like, I mean, he's so tall and lanky that there's not many guys that are built like this kid, but, is it AJ Green, maybe? I mean, who does he remind you of?
I mean, that's a good comparable from the NFL. From Ohio State lore, I'd say, it's like a talented, Ben Victor or, Michael Jenkins or, one of the taller wide receivers that we've had out there. And, I think about Ben when he, all that potential and that one glorious play that he made against Penn State where he went up and high pointed that ball and then just ran through the whole team for that a touchdown at the most opportune time for Ohio State fans. I think we'll see a lot of plays like that from Chris Henry Jr. because he's just a special player. He can go up and get it. He can run by guys. His catch rate is crazy. He's got huge hands, so he just catches everything. And so, but yeah, no, he's like I said, if Ben was making those plays all the time, that's what we're going to get out of Chris Henry Jr., the big guy that can run and make the plays when we need him to.
Ben Victor did save the season, didn't he? I mean, people they forget about that kid, but he really did. I mean, that was that was something else when he caught that ball when we were dead in the water at Penn State. I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was just one of those things where you never. Everyone has moments of doubt in games when they're watching, like, oh, God, we're going to lose. And then something like that happens. It's completely miraculous, and it's kind of a one-man effort, and we win. And, you never forget that. The kid didn't have the career that he wanted. He's still in the league, so he's still kicking around the NFL a little bit, but he didn't have the Ohio State career, didn't get drafted as high as he wanted. I don't think he got drafted at all, actually, but he's actually really good. Got to shout out my boy Innis. He is in the building. Rick Reichert, my dude. Brandon Innis has a brand new 392 Challenger Scat Pack, which I have no idea what any of that means. Nevada, when you were 18, were you driving a 392 Scat Pack? I mean, the thing's pretty sick. I mean, it's pretty loaded out. It's tinted up. I'm sure it goes really, really fast. But when you're 18, were you getting the keys to whatever the hell this thing is?
Yeah, no, I was driving the Chevy Chevette that said the Woody on the side of it, and the only Scat Pack, and it was DJ Scat Pack that was in the Palo Abdul video or whatever it was. So,
Scat Cat, the Scat Cat, the Palo Abdul video.
DJ Scat Cat.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, this is so this is cool. This is the foundation, paying for a car for a kid again. Welcome to the world of NIL, and it's amazing what these kids get now because they end up, they get cars. They're courtside at the Lakers games. It's just a whole new world. But I'm just happy Brandon Innis is here. This kid did not have to be here for at least another week because most of the students are off, and he's here. He's up here. He's ready to tear it up. He's ready to take someone's spot. So we've talked a lot about Brandon Innis, Nevada. What's his ceiling, and what do you think his role is this first year in Columbus?
Well, first of all, we got to talk about Brandon Innis because under the age of NIL, and I just think this is so great. All the freshmen have to stay in the dorm, so he's got a dorm room there, but he ain't staying in it. He's got his luxury apartment that he's actually staying in. So yeah, so Brandon Innis' roommate, whoever, is going to be like, hey, I got a roommate here, but he's never showed up to the room.
Oh God.
Yes. Yeah, no, none of this funky dorm stuff for me, man. I'm going to the luxury apartment there, and I got my DJ Scat Cat car. But no, I mean, I mean, who is he? I mean, he's Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, that's
Uh,
the type of player that you're getting there. And the thing with Heartline's recruiting is just it's almost silly because we just talk about these kids every year, and I mean, you've got Carnell Tate, you've got the Rogers boys. I mean, you've got all these guys that are just like super, super talented. But I mean, Innis, I think we say this every podcast about the next kid, but I mean, Innis could be the best one of the bunch. I mean, the guys down in Florida absolutely rave about him, and see him as not just a future NFL player, but future NFL star player. First round draft pick. I mean, if this kid's anything less than a first round pick in the NFL, then it will have been a disappointment, and that's you hate to put that kind of rap on some kid because invariably you don't want people to be disappointed, but he's got that kind of talent. He's an extraordinary talent out of Florida, and going to be just a tremendous player for Ohio State.
yeah, I agree. I think he's a first round pick. I think he's a third-year junior captain type of guy. He's a real fiery guy, super intense. Really great kid. I'm super excited to watch him work, take a spot. I mean, he's just not scared of anything. I think he's going to be back returning punts when he gets to practice. So that'll be interesting to see if we give Jackson Smith a Jigba, or excuse me, Emeka Buka a blow off the punt returns as opposed to him doing it all, which again, I think he's a fantastic punt returner, and you don't really have to return punts anymore. So it's more just catch them so that they don't roll down to the 1 yard line. But yeah, I think Innis is going to be fantastic. Again, I love everything about the kid. I love his attitude. I love that he's up here early. I love that he wants to work. I love that Brian Hartline loves him. There's just a lot to love. So it's actually a really good, it's a really good deal. Like I said, I'm super excited about what he can bring to the table. It'll be interesting to see if they give him number one or not, because the two numbers he's down to right now are number 11 and number 1. And you get number 1 as a true freshman, you're a dude. You are an absolute monster, because they don't give that number out to many kids, especially when they're that young. You usually have to earn number 1. If they give him 11, that'd probably be a little easier on him. But he likes the Uno. A lot of these kids, that's the number that they want. And most of these kids, they got to earn it. They might get it when they're an upperclassman, kind of like the Blocko, but just a little swaggier. But will Ryan Day and Brian Hartline give him the Uno the first day on campus? Because that's the number he really wants. But that's one that you usually have to earn, because every kid wants number 1. Every skill guy wants to wear number 1. Some teams don't give out number 1 just because it looks like an individual type thing. But with Innis, I'd give it to him. Why not? He's a tone setter. You need guys like that. I think that when guys are the tough guys, and they're the guys that want to hold everyone else accountable, and I think he's already scaring guys off into the portal. So I think that you got to reward a guy that's coming in here to take a spot, and he's going to work like it. So I'm super excited about this kid. What else we got? We got any questions on here? T Higgins type, I agree with that. Oh, we got the DJ Scat reference. People love that. Hey, do we have any bets on what DeJuan's going to weigh when he shows up to Browns minicamp?
I gotta set the over under. What's the over under on that? 380?
Let's go 390. You taking the over or the under? 375. 375 at the Senior Bowl. So
no, I'm going under. I'm going under 390. I'm going under 390.
Under 390. I mean, I can see it. You hit that sauna hard for about 2 straight weeks, and drink a lot of water and eat air for dinner every night. He could get there. I mean, I would do. I remember when I first reported to Chicago when the Bears drafted me, I was terrified. I mean, all I wanted to do was be in great shape, be at the body weight they wanted me at. I was running every day. Because when you hit practice, man, they run you. You get a good cardio workout, because you're not running team drills at minicamp. You're running all individual stuff at rookie minicamp. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see how Juan does. Again, he's a kid that could start. Probably not this year, but maybe year 2 if they want to move on from Jack Conklin. But he'll be a fascinating case study. But yeah, this is wide receiver U now, man. I'm telling you, with Innis, and then you get Chris Henry Jr., man. We got some big time stuff coming in. So super excited about that. But yeah, we got the Phenom, and now we've got kind of the old Phenom now that he's here. Got Seattle,
Yeah, but
Washington. We got Youngstown. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, you just wonder though. You just wonder, like, I've always talked about the law of energy, how there's no energy wasted. All you have positive energy, you have negative energy, and like with all these great wide receivers and these great quarterbacks, where's the negative? What are we losing? And are we losing that toughness? Are we losing that running game? Are we losing that power football game? Where we see the upside, what's the downside to this? And, where's the balance on it? Because I don't want to be an alarmist, but I do feel like we've lost our way a little bit in terms of, running the football effectively. Now again, having said all that, we came within, a field goal of winning the national championship last year. So, we're not that far away from the promised land. And I think there's lots of different ways to win, but I just wonder if with all these great wide receivers and, Hartline is the OC who's, he's going to be dialing up the passing. Like, do we lose a little bit in terms of, the type of Ohio State football that we've been accustomed to and that we feel like fits the climate in Ohio and in the Midwest during the winter? And I just wonder, where's the trade off?
I think you're onto something. I totally agree. I think that, when you throw the ball and you're chuck and duck for offense, I mean, you're going to put up a lot of really nice yardage numbers and passing touchdown numbers, but you only have so much time during the day, to practice things, to be good at things. And, if you're going to be great at throwing the ball and you got to throw the ball all the time, you're probably going to suffer in the running game. You're not going to be able to run block as well, not be able to stop the run as well on defense. Like my senior year, we didn't have Marvin Harrison and CJ Stroud. I mean, so we were a running team. We ran the ball a lot, to protect the quarterback, to protect our skill guys. We had Brian Hartline and Brian Robisky, two really good NFL receivers, but it was their first year starting. We had Todd Beckman at quarterback. Todd never got drafted. So, we were a running team. We ran the ball and we could stop the run. We were number one in the nation against the run, and we were one of the top 5 teams at running the football my senior year. So, that was kind of our calling card, is we were going to beat you up and run the ball. And we didn't have the aerial dynamics that they did, but we could stop the run. And again, that's something that, when you really need it, we haven't been able to stop the run against Michigan. I mean, we broke down the long plays, the kind of, I guess, inflated the stats. I mean, obviously the stats are the stats, but when you give up some long runs at the end that don't really mean anything because you're down 8 or you're down 14, you're trying to get a stop. Those don't really mean as much to me as if it was an 80-yard touchdown run to win the game. But I think that when you become kind of an Oklahoma outfit and you're throwing the crap out of the ball, it's hard to keep that physical identity. And so when a team really wants to punch you in the mouth like Michigan has last 2 years, it's hard to stop because you are so ingrained in throwing the ball. And, if it's 3rd and 1, we're throwing the ball. And if it's, 2nd and 1, we're throwing the ball. Like, instead of just handing the ball off and getting it, like, we just get so obsessed with these numbers and these stats, and we're throwing the ball. We'll beating Rutgers by 50 points. And we're throwing the ball in for another touchdown for CJ Stroud so that he has 6 instead of 5. Like, some of that stuff ends up just looking silly and stupid, but that's just kind of where we are now. Like, we don't, we're not, are we the toughest team in the Big Ten anymore? I don't know. And we're going to find out this year when we go to Ann Arbor. I mean, because the last 2 years we haven't been. The team that we dominated for 20 years has gotten the last 2 Big Ten championship rings. They took them right off of our fingers. And, we used to own the Big Ten because we were the toughest team in the Big Ten. And I don't know if we are that. Now, we're the most talented team. I mean, I think that last year at home, that was as bad of a loss as we've had at home, losing to that Michigan team. Because, we had CJ Stroud, the number 2 pick in the draft, Marvin, Emeka, all this superstar talent on offense and defense. And, we lost to, JJ McCarthy and, I mean, they were an okay Michigan team, but, TCU beat the tar out of them, and Michigan played out of their minds. They played out of their shoes. And that's what we're going to have to do in Ann Arbor this year. We're going to have to do that in Camp Randall this year. I think that we're really fortunate that Wisconsin has no quarterback to speak of. Notre Dame, their quarterback just took off. So, it's going to be interesting to see, what happens up in Ann Arbor, because that's the game that, I mean, we're already installed as underdogs, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's the game where you're gonna have to go get that short yardage play, go run the ball, take the crowd out of it. If we have a quarterback, because the thing that kills me about not having a running game is that we have the running backs to do it, and you're gonna have a young quarterback who's in his first career start up there. So if you can lean on Trey Henderson and Mayan and that O line, that's huge. It's massive. But that comes down to Ryan Day and Brian Hartline letting them do that and not getting, I guess, frustrated if you don't get a 7-yard run every time you run it. Sometimes you got to take a 0-yard or a 1-yard or a 2-yard run, and you got to let that those double team blocks and those combo blocks coming off the ball. You got to let them build up into the fourth quarter, because it happens with Michigan. I mean, they didn't run the ball for crap against us up until the fourth quarter, and then the body blows showed up, and all of a sudden Teron Vincent gets launched out of his gap, and we're off to the races for 75 yards. So I don't know. But it's a touchy subject, because I really do think that we have to find a way to get our toughness back, and I know that the guys like Tommy Eichenberg and Cade Stover, they hate being questioned for that, but it's like when we weren't as talented, we were way tougher back in the day. That's how we beat the Miami Hurricanes. It's because we were way tougher. It wasn't because we were better than they were. But that's something that's going to be really interesting to get into. Your thoughts on that, Nevada? That was a long diatribe.
Well, I think you made a great point, because it was like, you only have a limited amount of time of practice. And so, what are you practicing? If you're practicing throwing the ball all the time, then you're going to be less proficient at running the ball, and then your defense is going to be less proficient at defending the run, because they're practicing defending the run less. And so I think there is a kind of a cascade effect that goes on, when you become more of a throwing, more of a passing type of team, and it may show up in areas that it's kind of the whole law of unintended consequences. It can show up in areas that you're really not thinking about before you do it. And again, it's not a bad thing. We quarterbacks and wide receivers are overpowered in college football. They're really hard to stop, and that's why these scores are so high in these college football, especially these playoff games where you're giving these coaches 4 or 5 weeks to prepare. They're just lighting up the defenses. But it's there's definitely a loss. There's definitely a pushback, and I'd love to see Ohio State become more truly balanced this year, and I'm hopeful that Ryan will do that, and hopefully he finds that balance in the running game, maybe with being a little bit more less reticent to run the quarterback in some key spots and take those outnumbered types of situations and take advantage of what the defense is giving you, because I think they would make offense a lot easier for Ohio State to operate in.
I totally agree. It's a great question, Rick Harris. Scale to 1 to 10, your feelings on the O-line being good enough. Nevada, you go ahead and fire this one up first.
I'll say 8.5. I mean, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be not only fine. I think they're going to be really good. I'm not worried about it. I think, I think that Fry's got a lot of options and a lot of different combinations that he can play out there. I'm completely convinced that we've got 9 now with Simmons, maybe 10 dudes in that room. They're like guys that can actually play, that can actually play, that can line up and play in a game. And so, I'm completely convinced that he'll be able to find the right combinations of 5 to kind of maximize the situation. And maybe he has to shuffle a little bit in the first couple, 2-3 weeks. But no, I think the line's in so much better shape than it was in 2014 when we won the national championship, and way better than it was in 2002 when we won the national championship. So I'm not concerned about this line. Way more concerned about quarterback, way more concerned about the safety position than I am anything to do with the offensive line.
Yeah, I'd say a 7 for sure. Because again, part of it is it's the players, but part of it is if Brian Hartline is the play caller, which we could project him to be, does he protect the offensive line? Because there's a lot of ways to call plays, man, and you can make it really hard on the O-line. You can kind of hang them out to dry, or you can make it real easy on them. And it's like, if I'm Brian Hartline, I'm taking it. I'm helping the O-line. I'm moving the pocket, chipping on both sides. There's about 20 things you can do with an O-line that makes their lives a million times easier than just sitting back and empty and saying, okay, guys, go block these really good guys. And it won't matter the first few weeks. We're playing Indiana and we're playing, teams that they have nowhere near the talent that we do. But you get into South Bend, you get into Camp Randall, you get into Ann Arbor, there's ways to help the offensive line. And Jim Tressel was good at it. Urban was magnificent at it. where you don't just put them out on islands and say, good luck, go block them. I've seen NFL coaches that are completely derelict of their duties. Like I watched Von Miller in the Super Bowl against Mike Remmers when he was playing for the Carolina Panthers. Von was playing for the Denver Broncos, and they just left a helpless right tackle who's nowhere near good enough to one-on-one with Von Miller, and they never helped him. And Von Miller ate him alive, and it was just stupid on behalf of the offensive coordinator. Like when you're going against Von Miller in his prime, you better help that tackle unless he's Jonathan Ogden, Trent Williams, or a guy who's like of that ilk. And the right tackle they had wasn't. He was a guy that got cut literally right after the game, wasn't good enough to be playing. So, there's just stuff you can do to help these guys because you're going to have a lot of first-time starters, a lot of guys that are starting in new spots. And be interesting to see if Josh Simmons wins the right tackle job, which he easily could. Started 10 games for San Diego State last year. Did they try him at left tackle, put Fryer at right tackle? I mean, there's a million different things that we just don't know right now. I mean, I was a little surprised they put Josh at right tackle, but he was our best tackle in the spring. So, I mean, you got to put your best guy at left tackle. I would still put Donnie at left tackle. I know I've said that a billion times, but he's our best lineman by far. He's our all Big Ten returning guard. Put him at tackle. He's got the feet to do it. He's our strongest offensive lineman in the weight room. He's the leader of the offensive line. So I'd put my leader and my best player at left tackle. Who will be the kicker? Parker Lewis is going to be the kicker unless something crazy happens. Big leg kid from USC. Again, Noah Ruggles hit that nice kick against Utah, but if he had a little bit bigger leg, we probably won the national championship. So I'm in favor of getting the big leg guy out here. And, I think that he's going to be the guy. Do you have any thoughts on that, Nevada?
No, I mean, just hope Jesse spins the laces right so he gets a good hold when he comes to kick it. Because I'm still telling you, that kick wasn't on Ruggles in the game against Georgia. That was on the holder. But it happens. It's unfortunate. It's sad. But we just gotta move on. But Parker Lewis can't lose, and he'll be the kicker.
Yeah, I agree. Paul. Appreciate you, Paul. You're always on here. You're my man. Thank you, my man. Glad you're feeling better. Heard another podcast. JJ Smith's going to make a visit to Florida. Have I heard anything about that? Yeah, like he's going to go to Florida. He's going to go to Georgia. I think that these guys kind of make their rounds. I mean, he is not a guy that is getting these NIL lives. There's some guys that under the table are getting paid to show up to official visits because it's kind of like having like a superstar show up and it brings more kids in that would be more interested. But JJ is all Ohio State Buckeye, but I fully expect to take an official visit to Georgia the same weekend as Dylan Raiola. That's something where Dylan Raiola is going to try to flip JJ Smith. It's not going to happen just because Georgia doesn't develop wide receivers the way Ohio State does, not at the same rate. So I have no worries about JJ Smith. I hope he goes and sees every college in the entire world. Sometimes he's just going with his buddies, his teammates from South Florida Express or from Chaminade Madonna. But I have no worries on JJ. Like I said, he can go visit every school he wants, but he's going to be a Buckeye as long as we don't screw it up. He loves Ohio State, and he is locked in to the Bucks. What do you think, Nevada? You got any other final stuff? What's up, Neil? 411 dudes. I appreciate you. I love when you say that. Yeah, Stephen Sherry said the squad that kicked our teeth in the last years is stacked in the trenches, offense and defense. And like I said, I think our D line is better than Michigan's this year. I wouldn't trade Michigan's D line for our D line this year with Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Ty Leak, Mike, Ty Hamilton. Like I'd take those guys over Michigan's O line. Michigan's got a better returning group, but we have plenty of time to catch up to them and be just as good as they are. And we're better across the board at basically every other position. So, it's up to our guys to go up there and win one. Because like I said, of all of the tough things I've done in my life, like winning in Ann Arbor twice is at the very top. Especially my senior year when I was a captain. I had to go to the coin toss and look at Jake Long and Chad Henne and Mike Hart. And, none of us like those guys who were 0-3. It was their senior day. So they were absolutely insane that day, ready to rock. And we whooped them. So, but that was a game that I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared to death about. I wasn't nervous about. I want to make sure our guys played hard. And, you got to get some guys that are just absolutely psychopaths to go up to Ann Arbor and win because it's the hardest thing you can do as an Ohio State player is win against a good Michigan team in Ann Arbor. There's nothing harder you can do. You can win national championships. Obviously, that's impossibly hard. But, to win in Ann Arbor is something that you just always cherish because you've seen so many great teams like that 21 team go up there and just get worked, get waxed because, again, I think we were a little soft, a little snowy, a little cold, a little rainy. And, our guys didn't handle it well. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. And Michigan was in a towering inferno that day. So,
So Mr. Burton, I got a question for you on Beanie's big run in the 2007 game.
yeah.
Were you holding on that play? Should that play have been called back for a hold on Chris
No,
Burton?
I was actually on the backside, I think. That was I think that was on the backside. So I was kind of like the first guy free because like when you're on the backside, it's kind of easy because you're not really blocking anybody. I was just like a backside cutoff. So we kind of alternated where guys went. But yeah, I definitely wasn't holding. I was actually. It's funny. I just drummed up a photo. It looks a little grainy. Let me see if I get a better one. But I was like one of the first guys down in the end zone with Beanie because. I don't know. I always had this thing where I was taught to run to the ball, like in high school and everything. And you don't want to be the guy that, if Beanie falls or, like the guy from Georgia who fell down, tears his hamstring. Like you don't want to be the guy that's not hustling to the ball or if he fumbles or ball gets punched out. I was just always taught to run to the ball. So no, I don't know, man. That was, again, I get, I'm not emotional, but it's just like you get so happy that you realize that you're able to get that one done because, when you're a captain, man, it's hard. Like you don't want to be the captain that goes up to Michigan and gets stomped, because it's happened a lot in my lifetime to really good teams I looked up to, players I looked up to. And, you don't want to be that guy because you've seen it happen time and time again. So this is going to be a really grainy photo, but it's the best I can do on a millisecond's notice. But yeah, there's your boy running. I'm doing the hook 'em horns, I think, for Quinn Ewers, but I'm running this little grainy photo back in the olden days, back before I guess they had high definition cameras or 4K cameras. So, but it was a good day. You can't. Not many guys get to go up there and win in Ann Arbor as a captain, especially when the team you're going against is 0-3 and all your homies. Like I gave Gonzo crap because he took off and Teddy and those guys rightfully took off because they were first round picks, but. They all kind of just left me hanging, and then all of a sudden it's like I got to go up to this place by myself and with a bunch of young guys. So it was a good day. It was fun. So, well, we got any final questions? The D line from Texas, Buckeye or no? I'm not sure who that is. So, but I'll get you something from that on Bank Green. The word on the D line from Texas, Buckeye or no? I'm not sure. I'm really not. So. Well, Nevada, you got any final thoughts? We'll wrap this thing up, and we'll do this again tomorrow.
No, just any day that I can get a DJ Scat Cat reference in is a good day indeed. And yeah, no, it's got an equal signed DJ Scat Cat reference, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are part of that NHL draft rigging thing. Man, it's a busy Monday.
Yeah, it was so bad. They had that live video from the Blue Jackets watch party where they saw them fall all the way to 3, and it's just like, that's how it is to be a Jackets fan. Ohio sports teams, man, you can't have nice things, especially in the pro realm. But Buckeyes are good over here, so that kind of carries the mail. So, well, I am going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate you guys as always tuning in. I know this is a late show. I know that there's some playoff hockey going on, but appreciate your questions. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert bell. Shout out where you're from in the comments. Shout out who needs to step up for the Buckeyes opening week. We play Indiana. Give me a name. Kyle McCord. Is it Josh Fryer? A lot of good candidates in there, so I want to see what you guys are thinking and who you guys are worried about. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate doing this stuff with you guys. You guys are the best. So thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.